Welcome to One Girl in All the World, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy superfan.
I'm Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
You can currently find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube, and Instagram with new episodes on Tuesdays. Anything? So we were talking about Season 1, Episode 5, Never Kill a Boy on the First Date. What did you think?
I thought it was good overall. Cute.
You didn't like it? Really? Okay, great. I love this episode.
Okay.
This is so Buffy. It's pretty, it's not my favorite episode by far. It doesn't even register really in my favorite episodes. But I think all the formula for a perfect Buffy episode, everything's there for me. Mm-hmm. And when we get, I guess I can expound on that when we get to the stake rating and stuff. And I apologize, I forgot to do the synopsis last week. I was editing and I was like, oh, I never said the synopsis. So I'm going to remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for Teacher's Pet, I didn't do it. So, but for Never Kill a Boy on the First Date, it aired March 31st, 1997. It was written by Rob Deshotel and Dean Batali and directed by David Semel. I'm horrible at pronouncing names. I apologize.
Sounds great.
To these people. And the synopsis is, Buffy tries to maintain some semblance of a normal teenage social life by opting for a hot date instead of helping Giles protect Sunnydale from a violent vampire prophecy. As she's blinded by love, Buffy ignores the signs of the dark forces aligning against her. Meanwhile, while Buffy is being romanced, the Master is plotting her demise by invoking the wrath of the Anointed One, a great vampire warrior who is the Master's most powerful weapon against the Slayer. So the Master's back in this episode.
Of course he is. Couldn't get rid of him that easily.
Yeah, he's just been down there chilling after his lover Luke was
I kind of
killed.
forgot about him for a bit, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's down there. All right, so we actually start this episode with no, little Slayer prologue, she is the Slayer montage, so that's done. I was trying to remember, how many episodes did we have to go through before they stopped doing that, so.
Apparently just 4.
Yeah, we just went in right into the graveyard. And Buffy is fighting a vampire, and she stakes him. She has a good quip. She says, "I'm Buffy and you're history," when she stakes him, which is Buffy loves to say quips when she stakes a vampire. Giles pops out from behind a grave.
This is so great, though. I love this scene.
He immediately starts critiquing her performance, how long she took.
Her.
Yeah, he's grading her. Yeah. How long she took. He said it was a little bloody for his taste.
And that she should just plunge and move on.
Yeah, you should plunge and move on. Plunge and move on. And she's like, okay, I'll have to take a thank you because I, made the world safer by killing this vampire. And he's like, we need to improve all of these things. He gets distracted by something mixed up in the dust of the vampire, which is interesting because usually everything they're wearing dusts as well. So, yeah, but apparently not this special jewelry. He picks up a ring and it makes him curious, what it is. So he's going to look into it just to make sure that this was just a regular vampire and there's nothing else going on. Mm-hmm. Spoiler, there is.
Yeah, lots going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. He is going to consult his books, he says. And then we cut immediately to the Master's lair and the Master slamming a big book down. And he starts he's reading a prophecy from the writings of Aurelius, but it's kind of he's giving a sermon basically to these.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. You're right. That's actually a really good analogy for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like he's in a church, and you actually can see more of his lair now. You can see the church or parts of the church in the background.
Right.
And yeah, he's basically he's at a little podium, and then he's walking around very much like a preacher to his congregation. So what he says is, "And there will be a time of crisis, of worlds hanging in the balance. And in this time shall come the Anointed, the Master's great warrior. And the Slayer will not know him, will not stop him, and he will lead her into hell. As it is written, so it shall be. 5 will die, and from their ashes the Anointed One shall rise. The brethren of Aurelius shall greet him and usher him to his immortal destiny." So he's reading this prophecy. And the vampires there are the Order of Aurelius. And yeah, so apparently this is the details of the prophecy, and we don't really know more at this point. But he is annoyed that one of the vampire that Buffy dusted in the opening scene was one of them, was one of the Order of Aurelius, and that's why he had the special ring on. And that the Master's mad because he went out and got himself killed instead of focusing on bringing this prophecy to pass and like finding the anointed one. So he basically really like warns the other ones, like, don't play around. Like, this prophecy is like first priority. He can't do anything. So you need to go out and make sure this is fulfilled. And he ends the scene in his little speech by saying, "Here endeth the lesson." And we will see that exact line said by two other characters in the show. One it's much more like famous for, but yeah, 3 different characters say that exact line in the show. And then we go to the credits. Nothing new to report there. In the library, Giles is researching the ring, and Buffy doing her research thing.
She's on her research game.
Yeah, like she's like really doing good. And
she's like, I can't find anything. She's like, I found it.
Yeah, she's like, look at these 3, a sun and 3 stars inside the ring. Mm-hmm. And he's like, it probably doesn't mean anything. And then she's like, oh, here it is. I thought it looked familiar. He can connect that symbol to a vampire sect that is called the Order of Aurelius. So it's from the writings that we just heard. So it's all from the writings and then the Order of Aurelius.
Owen walks in.
Yeah.
Cute boy walks in.
They're discussing that, and Owen walks in. I like Owen a lot. What did you think of Owen?
He's cute. I did. And also, honestly, when he walked into the library and we kind of got an idea of his character, I was like, this is someone Ashley would have liked in high school. This is maybe who she would have had a crush on.
Yeah, it is.
This is like,
he's a little blonde for me, but
his love of books, his cute personality, his sweet demeanor. I was just like, what a cute high school crush to have.
Yeah, and apparently he's a hot commodity, which you will find out.
That surprised me, actually. That was kind of
He's like the mysterious guy in school, which people find very intriguing.
Attractive,
Buffy so Owen comes in looking for a book, and Buffy jumps up. Immediately you can tell that she is attracted to him, likes him, knows who he is. Like, he's already on her radar. He's definitely been on her radar. He says he's coming in to get Emily Dickinson book because he lost his copy, and he finds it as a security blanket. Emily Dickinson is also my favorite poet, even though I'm not hugely into poetry, but I do like her poetry. So I'd have to say she's my
This is your high school crush.
Drop in my DMs, Owen. Buffy is really funny because she's talking, like, she turns into Xander for a second because she's like, oh, I have a security blanket too, but it's actually a blanket, but I don't carry it around. Totally.
And she says, like, Emily Dickens, which I thought was funny.
That was so funny. And he's like, so Dickinson. She's like, she's good too.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Buffy. We barely see her flustered, so I thought that this scene was really cute for me. This was probably my favorite scene.
Yeah, she's usually cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
Like, she's like really into this guy.
Her.
Yeah, it was cute. She kind of follows him up to the poetry section, and he's noticed her too. So there's a lot of like the previous stuff that we haven't seen where he says, oh, I didn't think I would picture you here. And it's cute because he's like, I think you could read.
Yeah.
But I didn't think you would be a bookworm. And she's just like kind of pretending like oh, I love books.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah. She wants to share an interest with him. He comes back down. Giles, when he comes in, it was funny when Giles like, what do you want?
Oh, yeah. I like that too. Like, yeah.
This episode was so funny. I was like cackling.
The relationship between Giles and Buffy is really developing in this episode, which I'm enjoying a lot, actually.
Yeah. So he sends Owen on his way, and Buffy's like, do you have any more Emily Dickinson books? Because now I need to like get like boned up on Emily Dickinson so I can bone up on Owen. And okay, we need to focus on your duties. Don't worry about boys. Yeah. And she's like, oh, you're right. But does this outfit make me look fat? At her face looking at him like, help me out here, Dad. And he's like, oh, God, teenage girls. And it's just a cute scene. Because she is really cute. 100% 16-year-old teenager, not a slayer in this moment.
She's a smitten kitten.
She is. She's got it bad. Got it bad for Owen. In the cafeteria, Willow and Buffy are talking about Owen. Willow knows exactly who he is, and Owen's a hot commodity. Like, Willow loves that he reads Emily Dickinson. She said he's sensitive yet manly. And they walk over and join Xander.
Who also is gross again.
He was just about to ask Buffy out in the last episode. Yep. And now Buffy's has some interest in somebody and he doesn't like it. And he's jealous. Buffy has an Emily Dickinson book with her, a book of poetry that she's obviously trying to like be seen with or actually trying to read. I'm not sure. She actually does fill Willow and Xander in on the Order of Aurelius and that something's going on with this group of vampires that they are trying to figure out. She sees that Owen is at a different table in the lunchroom, sitting by himself.
So she wants to go sit with him.
Yeah, so she takes her book and she's gonna go sit with him.
But
Cordy, they're both going for the same seat. She hip checks her, knocks her lunch everywhere, and Owen immediately gets down on the ground to help her pick up all of her stuff. And I love when Buffy says that the comeback is like, "Oh, I didn't realize Cordelia's hips were so wide," or something.
She had it coming.
Yeah, Buffy, can dish it out, too.
Yeah, she can. Mm-hmm.
And Cordelia invites Owen to the Bronze. She's clearly interested in him and is on the prowl and is willing to vanquish anything that stands in her way between her and Owen. Yeah. So, yeah, she invites him to the Bronze. He wants to know if Buffy will be there. And he basically invites Buffy out on a date that night to meet at the Bronze. And she's excited, and she says yes. In the hallway / the library, we kind of move. This is a walk and talk scene. Willow is very excited for Buffy. She said it's such a big deal. Buffy's trying to downplay it. Yeah. But
boys.
Yeah. And Giles has information about the prophecy as they walk into the library. Yeah, and he's like, "What are you guys talking about?" "Boys." Yeah, that's what you just said. It was cute, really cute. But he's like, "Well, I'm talking about this prophecy." And
vampires.
Yeah, they are going to the 5 that will rise. It's going to happen tonight. I did my calculations, and Buffy's, of course, really upset and disappointed because that was her date night, and she wants to get out of it.
Semblance. She wants that work-life balance. That's what we all want.
Yeah, she wants the work-life balance.
I mean, forget this 1000th day of Septus, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But it's happening tonight. He's done his calculations, and I love, Buffy's like, "Oh no, but cute boy." And he says, "Tonight we are going into battle." And then it just cuts to them sitting bored in the graveyard.
Oh yeah, that was really cute actually. Yeah.
I loved that. So they're in the graveyard sitting there. It's just Buffy and Giles. And Buffy's slurping on her drink. They're just sitting there. They've obviously been there for a long time. And Giles has to realize that, I guess something's going to happen, that he probably got it wrong.
They waited for nothing, basically.
Yeah, so immediately Buffy says, "Oh, I can go then? I can go to my date?" And she jumps up, and before she goes, Giles just warns her, getting involved with someone that doesn't know she's a Slayer is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And she says, "Okay, I won't wear my button that says, 'I'm a Slayer, ask me how.'" Which is a very famous, that's a very, very classic, famous Buffy line. So much so that one of my stickers, I have a sticker, and it says, "I'm a Slayer, ask me how."
Wait,
I haven't
why
used
isn't
yet.
On anything?
I just haven't used it yet.
You should use it.
I will.
No, you should use it.
That's a very famous Buffy quote. Actually, there's 2 in this episode. That's why I think this episode's so good, because the writing's so good. It's so funny. It's so Buffy, the show. Mm-hmm. And 2 of her most popular lines are in this episode. That's one of them. Giles is really confused, and we cut to an airport shuttle bus. Mm-hmm. And it's just driving through, I guess, Sunnydale at night with 5 people in there. There's a driver, there's a lady by herself, there's a mother and a son, and then there's a guy looking kind of crazy eyes.
A weirdo guy.
But before we learn more about them, we go to the Bronze, where Buffy rushes in and is looking for Owen, and he spies him dancing with Cordelia. And they look pretty cozy, so she...
I mean, the thing is, for me at least, anyway, I'm watching, I can see through Buffy's eyes where she feels like it's cozy, but, through my eyes, I can see he's, trying to, not, rebuff her, because he wants to be polite, but you can tell he's not into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she's all over him. Cordelia is. Yeah, she's the one, her head on on his chest and all this stuff.
And trying to get closer.
I think she might think, once Cordelia's got him in her clutches, then there's...
That's it.
Yeah. So she leaves and doesn't say anything to Owen.
Thought she would have maybe waited till that dance was over. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, her little face was so sad. I feel bad for her.
Yeah, it was.
We're back on the bus, and that crazy guy is basically preaching. He's talking about being judged and the righteous and all these different things. Basically, all this extreme religious stuff. He seems like somebody the crazy preacher on the corner of a major city or something, talking like that.
That's so weird.
And he's making people on the bus uncomfortable. He gets up, he starts to walk, like kind of stalking up, and he's kind of like trying to talk to them, and they're trying not to make eye contact. The bus driver tells him he needs to sit down, and he says, "Are you ready to stand with the righteous? Are you willing or ready to stand with the righteous?" And he's kind of distracting the bus driver, and the bus driver turns back to the road, and there's like a person in the road, and he hits them. The driver kind of has like blood on his head. He's like hit the steering wheel or something, and he asks if everyone's okay. Everyone's shooken up, but everybody's okay. And he jumps out of the bus to go run for this body that's laying on the ground. And he's like, "Are you okay?" Like, yeah, I don't think this person's going to be okay if you just like literally hit them with a bus. The body jumps up and attacks him.
Of course.
And then goes up to the bus and like smashes the window, grabs the crazy guy, bites him, and then the bus is going crazy and everyone in there is screaming and being attacked. At school, Buffy is talking to Xander and she's upset about her misdate with Owen.
Yeah, she's bummed.
Yeah. In Xander's locker, there was some interesting stuff. There's like a concert poster. There's like a weird, like at the top, there's like a weird like Halloween hand. That was like, it would be like a prop at Halloween, like a severed hand that he has like glued in his locker.
Totally didn't even notice his locker. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He has like, I think, remember those like stickers that you would get from like vending machines back in the early 2000s or whatever?
I do remember those, yes.
Like really like psychedelic looking stickers. He had one in there and it said like far out. And I think it was like the alien kind of looking one. Huh. It had like a really 60s like font. But he has that in there.
Okay.
And he has like some like weird like art kind of like images. Like, yeah. So I wanted to see what was in his locker. He has a picture of a skeleton. So he's standing by his locker with Buffy, and he's basically trying to drop hints to her that, well, he would be a good match for her. He can read. I can read too, lots of boys can read. And she's just laser focused on Owen and that he's special. He's more Owen-y than other boys. Owen shows up.
Yeah, this was cute.
Yeah, he asked her, like, what happened? You didn't show up. And she couldn't come up with a better excuse than I don't have any clocks.
My clock. No clock. I don't know how to tell time. I don't know.
Yeah, she's channeling Xander's interaction with the opposite sex.
You're right. Oh, my God.
In this episode.
But he's so cute. And he's just like, he asked her out again. And he's like, here, you can take my watch. And this will help you keep time. Just look at this little line here needs to go here, and that's when you meet me. Yeah, it's really cute. I love it as a pocket watch. Yeah.
And I also love when Xander sees it, he looks at his watch, and he has a Tweety Bird watch on.
I totally didn't even notice that either. Wow, okay, you're super observant.
Yeah, they do a close-up of his, like, Xander's kind of like, oh, look at that. That's like a really, like, sophisticated, mature watch. A 16-year-old, 17-year-old walking around with a pocket watch in high school. He's like, wow. And then he looks at his own watch, and it's a Tweety Bird Looney Tunes watch. That cracked me up. I watched it several times. Owen, they remake their date again, and he makes clear that there wasn't anything going on with Cordelia, that she was kind of all over him, because Buffy kind of says, oh, I heard that you guys were kind of all over each other maybe. And then once he dispels like her worry on that, then she's all about having another date with him. So she's back to being on cloud 9 again.
And Xander is bummed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Xander's not happy. In the library office, so Giles'
okay, this was
office.
I was like, my note is like office question mark? Because it doesn't really look like the library. Okay, so he has his office in the library. Got it, okay.
Giles is enjoying some tea and some soft music. He looks like he might have a headache. He looks like tired and like he's rubbing his head and stuff. He's just trying to relax, and Buffy barges in saying, oh, tonight nothing will happen, right? We need some days to like figure out this prophecy. So like you probably need a couple of days to figure that out. So there's like, I should just rest, you know what I mean? Like I should just regroup and rest. And so, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. And he says she's the strangest girl because she just runs off. She's like, basically, I just declared my night off. In the lair, the master is happy that the 5 have been killed and says, don't fail to bring me the anointed one. I have some questions that I guess I'll get to them when we get to the funeral home about the 5 and stuff.
Okay.
But I have some questions about why they left the bodies there to begin with.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. You're right. I didn't think about that.
But we can expound on that, I guess, in a little bit. At Buffy's room, Xander, Willow are helping Buffy get ready for her date.
This is cute. Yeah, I like the dialogue between Buffy and Willow and just like, they're being normal teenage girls. It's nice.
Yeah, and Willow's so excited for her. Mm-hmm. I think it's really sweet.
She's a good friend.
Xander
It's
is
creepy again.
obviously like trying to just like dissuade her. He picks out a parka for her to wear.
Yeah, and a hat.
Yeah.
Ski cap.
And he's helping, air quotes, when he helps pick out her lipstick color. He says, oh, you know, if you kiss, what, so you can kiss him and he can tell everybody you're easy. And it's like,
Yeah, he's gross.
Xander, stop. It gets even worse. Like, the worst thing he's done, so, like, in this episode is when she's like, okay, she picks something out, and she's going to change. So he turns his back, and he walks over to, like, her, but he's trying to watch her.
In the mirror?
In the mirror.
So gross.
That's
Why?
so...
Yeah, I was really disappointed by that.
That's like, there's one thing to, like, have a big crush on her and stuff, but, like, she doesn't want you to watch her change. That's why she had you turn around. And then you're watching her through the mirror, or trying to watch her through the mirror. And he kind of fumbles it, and they look over at him, and he's like, oh, I wasn't doing anything. Oh, gosh. So, come on, Xander. You can do better than that.
But we get interrupted by Giles anyway. Giles goes to Buffy's home. This is the first time, I think, yeah?
I think so far, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he shows up. Buffy's address is 1630 Ravello Drive. I don't think it's been said yet, but that's her address. So that's where Giles went. She thinks it's Owen, and she's like, oh, it's Giles. Oh, Buffy's not here. Giles will close the door on him. She's like, it's not a good sign if Giles has shown up at her house on the night of her date.
Her date,
yeah. He says, look at this article in the paper. 5 have died. And she's like, in a car accident. Like, I don't think this has anything to do with it. He's like, it could. It's a long shot, but it could. And she's like, oh, please just let me go on this date. Let me just have one night of a date. And it's funny. He's like, another date? Don't you do anything else? She's like, it hasn't happened yet.
I didn't have a date last night. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, God, are you doing this dating? Back to the article. It says, like, the 5 people have died, and one of them, a.k.a. the crazy guy, Andrew Borba, was wanted for questioning in a double murder. So he thinks that he could be the anointed one. Mm-hmm. And that all the bodies have been taken to the Sunnydale funeral home. That he thinks they should check it out. Yep. Owen shows up for his date. And, of course, it's weird the librarian's at Buffy's house.
Super weird.
Yeah, not creepy at all.
She's all like, I'll return those library books later.
He's like, you take your job seriously. You're knocking on students' doors about these overdue library books. So Willow and Xander kind of, like, shoo him away so Giles and Buffy can finish their conversation. Xander is saying, oh, Buffy doesn't like to be touched. She doesn't like to be kissed. She doesn't like to dance, and, like, really trying to, like, dissuade anything happening between. And Willow's like, Xander, like, you're sabotaging this whole thing for Buffy, which is the point. This is what he's trying to do because he doesn't want Buffy enjoying her date. Giles says, you know, you can't have a social life and be a slayer. And she's like, I'm going to try. It's the 1990s, and I can do it all. And he agrees to let her go, but that he is going to go to the Sunnydale funeral home and check things out just to be sure. Mm-hmm. And so everybody goes on their way. We're at the Bronze for Buffy's date. The band is called Velvet Chain, and they're singing the song Strong. And Owen and Buffy are in the, like, corner or something talking about Emily Dickinson and how much he loves Emily Dickinson because she's so morbid. And Buffy's asking questions about it, and they get on the subject of that there's more important things than life and dating. So she feels a little bit guilty. She looks at her beeper. Yeah. She knows she, like, shrugged off her responsibilities to come out on this date.
And he said something like, most girls are frivolous. Yeah, only care about dating. And I was just like, oh, that's a little harsh, actually, I feel like.
Well, it was like, also, he says, oh, I don't get out much because I think girls are frivolous. Like, you only can go out if you have a date.
Yeah, exactly.
But, okay.
I thought that conversation was a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of things there. I also see, like, a reader, he likes poetry, so I could see why maybe he wouldn't, like, find a lot of common ground with people in his class, girls and guys, friends, and all that. Yeah. So I can kind of see that. Buffy shakes him to dance, and he says that she kind of seems like two different people. At one moment she seems like someone, and then another time she sees like someone else.
Hashtag nailed it.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, Owen's smart. He's a smarty pants.
He's like, which one is she?
And Cordelia comes over, beelines right for Owen, and just basically pretends like Buffy isn't even there.
She's terrible. She's so bad.
She's like, oh, when you're done doing, like, work for the needy or, like, charity work or whatever, you can, like, when you're ready for the big leagues, you know where I am.
But to his credit, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna dance with Buffy. Like, I'm here with her. So.
And he's like, and I'm still here with her when she tries, like, she keeps pushing. So Buffy's very smug, too, that, like, yes, he's with me. He's here with me. And Cordelia has to slink away. At the funeral home, Giles, like, rolls up in his old-ass car, and the license plate is 2GPU947. So if you're looking for, like, a really good password for something, you can use Giles' license plate. When you run out of all of your, a password, you can't use your new password can't be a password used in the past. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like your rotation of passwords. There you go. I've just given everyone a new password. Giles arrives outside and immediately runs into vampires.
Yeah, I mean, he shouldn't have went by himself. It's just not smart.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to get Buffy to go.
Yeah, I know.
So it was like, well, if she's not going to do it, someone has to do it.
Yep.
And he has a whole destiny thing as well that he has to uphold his end.
That's true.
So they chase him basically into the funeral home and basically into what I would call like an embalming room.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
For lack of a better term, where they keep the dead bodies and there's like the embalming table.
Trying to hide?
Yeah, he's putting stuff in front of the door and he's stuck in there. Now he's trapped. Yeah. They're trying to break in. Willow and Xander pop up in the window, scaring the crap out of him. They followed him to make sure he was okay. Mostly Willow probably dragged Xander along because Xander didn't want to. Wasn't worried about Giles. He was worried about Buffy on her date.
Yep.
And they said like, you can't get out this window. Like we have to go get Buffy. So they take off to go get Buffy, and Giles is just gonna like try to stay alive in that room until help arrives.
So we're back at the Bronze.
We're back at the Bronze, and Buffy and Owen are still dancing. Cordy is just simmering, like stewing against the wall with one of her lackeys. Like, just be like, she's like, can you believe, like, people acting like this in public? They're just dancing.
Yeah, like normal dancing.
Yeah, and then Angel walks in, and she's like, woo, hubba hubba, this guy, and tries to go after him, and of course he walks right up to Buffy.
This was so funny, too.
She's like are you kidding me? She's like, I can't believe, what is with this girl and all these guys that I want to get with? And Owen had went and got Buffy something to eat, so she's standing there by herself when Angel comes up. And he's like, hey, I wanted to warn you. She's like, I already know. Yeah. I know all about this. And he's like, but you're not out there? And he's like, okay, I just wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm on a date. And you could tell he is like, oh, you're on a date?
He was taken aback by that. Which I'm like... Why? Why are you taken aback by that? It's not like you hang out with her regularly or give her any information about you. So,
Yeah, and I think I felt like in that moment, it wasn't even something he had thought about before.
Yeah, but
like
you could
he was
see
like,
that
his own reaction surprised him, I think. Yeah. So Owen comes back over with a muffin, and they get introduced, and it's very awkward.
Super awkward.
And Angel says, I know Buffy from work. And he's like, you work? And then it's all confusing and awkward. And Willow and Xander barge in, saying that they are now on a double date.
That part was funny, actually.
And Buffy's like, what? We should double date. We should go to the funeral home because it's really cool.
So weird.
Oh, yeah. He's like, Xander's like, because of the fun.
Yeah.
Which is like, was funny. And they're just kind of like trying to like tell Buffy without saying it in front of Owen that
she has to go. Shit
has gone down at the funeral home and we need to go. And she gets the clue. Oh, and Owen's all down for this. He's like, yeah, we can sneak into the funeral home. That would be like pretty. And he likes morbid stuff. He likes Emily Dickinson. So this is something that would interest him. And I think he, like you said, he doesn't get out much. So he's living it up tonight. Buffy says, oh no, I have to go. You can't go, but I will be right back. Like, I have to be that other person you talked about. Mm-hmm. But the other me was having a great time and will be back. Before she leaves, she kisses him. Angel is framed in between them the whole time they're having this conversation. He's like in the background in between them. And he says and then Owen says she's the strangest girl when she runs off, which is echoing what Giles said a few scenes before. The three of them show up and immediately, they turn around and Owen's like, wow, this place is cool. And she's like, God damn it, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Great.
And has Willow and Xander watch him while she runs off to try to save Giles. She goes into the embalming room. The door's been broken open, the window's broken, like the vamps are gone, the place is ransacked, and she can't find him. and all of a sudden the refrigerator.
I wrote corpse thingy.
Yeah, corpse.
I feel like I actually used to know what this is called, and now I don't.
I tried to Google it, but I couldn't figure it. I'm sure it has a name. Yeah,
it definitely does.
It's like the tray, the refrigerated tray. You know,
the corpse thingy.
Yeah, put you on. They roll you into the refrigerator thing.
Yeah.
He comes out of there on top of a dead body, and he's hiding. He's like, he says something like, "Oh, I showed them." He's like, by hiding until they left.
Yeah, that was cute.
So he jumps down and they regroup. They don't know where the vampires are, like the ones that were chasing Giles. And they have to look for the anointed one. Like, maybe he's still here. And she's like, well, I have to get rid of Owen and the others. And he's like, you brought your date? She's like, no, not really, but he's here. So she runs off to get Willow, Xander, and Owen to a safe place. Buffy finds the group, and they are going to find a nice, safe room to explore, because they still have to keep the guys up for Owen, but she needs to keep them in a safe place while she looks for the anointed one. Mm-hmm. He says, Owen says, the office was locked, but it says observation room on it, so I don't know why he would call it the office. And she says, no, it's not, and, like, jams down the thing with her Slayer strength and just, like, pops the lock out and, like, opens it. But yeah, it's an observation room or a bereavement room or something like that. Mm-hmm. And she says, okay, I have to go to the bathroom, so you stay here and barricade the door. Her and Giles are open. I like this, like, little scene where they're opening the doors to each of the, like, corpse thingies.
Yeah, and where's this anointed one?
She open? They're all empty, and she opens one, and she says, ew, parts, which was gross. You don't see anything, but she's grossed out by the parts. And they open them all, and there's nobody there.
Yep.
So they're kind of perplexed. And back in the observation room, Willow and Xander are putting stuff in front of the door. I get the chairs, but they're like putting pillows. I'm like, okay, that's not going to keep a vampire out. Like the pillows. The furniture, yeah, I can see that. But, and he's kind of like, okay, like, what are you guys doing? And he pulls on like a cord, and the curtains open, and you can see why it's called the observation room. It's into like a kind of looks like another embalming room. It has like the slab, and there's body covered in a sheet. Owen's, like, fascinated. It's his first body set he's ever seen. Willow and Xander finally get attention. They look and see what he's looking at, and he's like, do the dead bodies usually move?
Yeah, crap.
And the corpse's hand is, like, twitching.
Yeah.
And this is, like, the imagery of this is, like, really cool when the body just he sits up and, like, grabs the sheet off of its feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I mean, this whole, like, as soon as they're in this, whatever, the whole, funeral chapel or whatever it is. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the room is even creepy.
Yeah, they did a good job.
It's like all like dark red. The whole room's covered in fabric. They immediately freak out because they can see it's a vampire.
And they start trying to unpile stuff from the door.
They just got this huge pile of shit piled up in front of the door and immediately turn around and have to start grabbing it all off.
Yeah.
We see that it is the crazy guy.
Yeah.
Andrew from the airport shuttle. And
I don't know about you, but I'm assuming he's the anointed one.
He is talking about that he has been judged. So basically, from what he's saying, he thinks that he has died and been judged by God and brought back as a vampire. He sees them through the window and headbutts the glass, shattering it, and like steps
breaks
through.
It, yeah.
He's scary.
He is actually.
He was scary as a human, and he's very scary as a vampire.
As a vampire, yeah.
And being a vampire has not made him sane. Let's put it that way. He's still as crazy as he was. And he
basically corners them.
Yeah, and he says, like, when he's going through, there's been some debate about, like, what he means when he says pork and beans. He says that.
Yeah, that was weird. That was really weird.
And I kind of was, like, looking at some people's opinions on what that means. Like, why did he say that? Because everything else was, like, all, like, religious-based from his point of view.
Yeah.
And basically, like, a lot of people think, like, he just looks at them now as food.
Oh, okay, gross.
Like, very basic, like, food. Okay. And, he had army, like, fatigues kind of on in the van. Like, he has, like, camo pants on. Okay, so maybe, like, he has a military background. And, like, you know, they have, like, basic rations and stuff. So maybe he's, like, seeing them as something like that. So, weird. Interesting. Share your thoughts on pork and beans, please. Okay. If you have another take, I'd like to hear it. Willow Xander and Owen try to run out the front, but the vampires are out there and they barricade them in. So they're trapping them inside the funeral home. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Buffy grabs the stake from Giles, as you said, and before she can really get out of the room and run to their rescue, Andrew goes in there and he attacks her. He grabs her and throws her. Giles, tries to jump in there. Bless his heart. Yeah. Bless his little heart, his little librarian heart. He tries and immediately, again, is knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
But not before his head, or his hand, technically, I think, hits the control panel for the crematorium.
Yeah, the fire. Ooh.
Yeah. So that's lit now, which is kind of a cool background to this whole fight. Owen comes in because he's like, someone has to go back and help Buffy, which was very sweet.
Yeah, sweet. He wants to save the day.
Yeah, he wants to help her. And he hits him with a tray, and apparently he's like, oh, God, okay, well, I don't know how much damage the tray would have done, but he drops Buffy, and Buffy kind of hits her head and is disoriented on the ground. And then he hits him with an urn, and that puts him down. Owen rushes to Buffy and is trying to help her. And of course, that wasn't going to kill Andrew. No. But Andrew grabs Owen and hits him. He just hits his head on something, but he says, dead. So we're supposed to believe that killed Owen.
Yeah, which is
unlikely.
Yeah.
But it's enough to really put Buffy in a rage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buffy's enraged that Andrew killed her date, and she really unleashes it on him then. She's kicking his ass. Willow and Xander see that Owen is in fact not dead, that he's coming to, but they don't tell her because she's, she needs the rage to take this guy on, so they just don't mention it.
Yeah.
And she fights him. He basically falls on the embalming table and then slides from the momentum into the crematorium, and Giles has come to at this point and closes the door. And so Andrew is being burnt up in
Teamwork.
The crematorium. Yeah, that's a pretty cool death for how that worked out.
I did appreciate that. I liked that. It was good.
Yeah.
Very good imagery.
Yeah. It was creative. I thought it was good use of the set and the location.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She rushes to Owen and he's kind of out of it. He seems he does seem like he has a head injury.
Yeah. He might have a concussion, actually.
Yeah, it sounds like he has a concussion. And he was like, oh, she's like, yeah, not how you thought our first date was going to go. He's like, yeah, I thought we would end up Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, right? That's, typical, not in a cemetery or...
And Buffy's like, we still can. Oh, really, Buffy? You're gonna salvage this night, even if it even if you have another chance.
She really wants to.
You need to call this night.
He's just he's no.
Yeah, he's not even with it. No. And Willow and Xander help him home because he's all out of it. He's all out of whack. Yeah. At school, Buffy is kind of interrogating Xander and Willow about it. On the way home, did he say anything about me? And she's just really down in the dumps that she's blown it with this guy.
Yeah, she's bummed.
And Xander takes his opportunity to try to put himself forward, saying you need to date someone that knows your secret and all this. Well, okay, how many men is that? Is she gonna think he's talking about Giles?
Nice.
Ew. If I was Willow, I would just slap him behind Buffy, slap him in the back of his head.
I wonder if Willow still likes him at this point. Probably.
And so she's down in the dumps about it, and we get to the bottom of the stairs. They're walking down some stairs, and Owen comes up to her. Mm-hmm. And I liked this when Willow and Xander leave, but I like the physical comedy of when Xander's walking away backwards, and he has his juice box, and he's tripping over the stairs because he wants to keep watching. That was cute. I liked that part. Buffy's like, oh, I know what's coming. He's gonna say he doesn't, want to see me again.
Yeah.
But Owen, doesn't see, he's like, I don't know how to say this. And she's like, yeah, I don't have to say it. I know where this is going. And he says, I want to know when I can see you again.
Yeah.
And I love when Buffy says, oh, that was my hopeful ear. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, that was really cute.
That was a cute line. He says, yeah, I never thought almost dying would make me feel so alive. And it's very clear that he's got a taste for danger. Mm-hmm. He's lived a very sheltered life, and he's gotten a little taste of danger, and he's really likes it. And so Buffy sees that. It's not only is he more interested in maybe the danger that comes with her than her. Possibly. But that also she just can't take that risk with him.
No, she can't put him in danger. She can't continually put him in danger. So yeah.
So she, unfortunately, even though she doesn't want to, says can we be friends? We should just be friends. And he's like, yeah, sure. It's really sad They're both very sad about it because they both like, actually like
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah, that really sucks. That was I was a little disappointed. Like, I get it. Because I mean, she can't really date, I guess. But I was sad about it.
It was sad for her. Her little face was so sad. More than just like this one boy. It's like the whole, like her always trying
This
to
is her
have
life.
something.
Yeah, it's not
for
just going to be
herself.
this one boy. Like, she can't have a normal life. She can't do normal teenage things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think her face, that's all in her face, I think, when
Mhm.
when she like says she's just going to be friends with Owen.
Yeah.
And it's
She carries a really heavy burden.
Mm-hmm. And like the song is really sad, like the music behind it.
It really
like,
is.
It just makes you like hurt for her.
Mm-hmm.
So Giles comes up and tells her he can see what's happened, and she feels sad about it. And he says that when he was 10, he was told that his destiny was to be a watcher because his dad was a watcher and his grandmother was a watcher. Now, I don't know if I don't remember if we even find this out, whether it's just like a family business type thing or like you are chosen, like you are a slayer to be a watcher.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like if you say you're destined, I feel like that's more than my dad was a lawyer, my grandpa was a lawyer, so I'm going to like carry on the family thing.
Yeah.
Could be using the word destined, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, is it a family line? The way royalty works, where it's like watchers stay in a family line?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm not sure.
I did like that scene though, because he kind of was like, I mean, he can't possibly understand exactly what she's going through, but he's trying to.
Yeah, he says, I was not thrilled about it. He said he wanted to be a fighter pilot or possibly a grocer, which was that was your question. I never would have those are like way out there, right?
Yeah,
I never would have guessed that. Your guesses were much more Giles. But we will come to learn that maybe it's not as un-Giles as we think.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
Like when we get more of Giles' backstory. Maybe he was a wild child.
What you're saying though, like when you're saying about the like passing down the family line, right? Like at this point, and like I mean, in all fairness, I don't know what happens later on, but like he's not married and he doesn't have kids. So if it's supposed to be passed on, that's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. I don't know. I don't think we ever find out more about that, about like the destiny, because that's an interesting word for him to use.
Yeah.
He didn't want to.
Yeah.
But he did it anyway, because his dad gave him a big speech about sacrifice and all of that. So he's trying to relate to Buffy on that term. Like he gave up. He's not giving up what she's giving up, but he gave up what he wanted, like what he thought his life was going to be a watcher.
To do this.
For the greater good of the world. So they have that in common. It's not exactly the same, but they do have that in common.
Exactly. And I like how she apologized for not being there.
If I had him around Owen, I would get him killed, or I could get someone else killed.
She means Giles.
And she's Giles. And he immediately says, I went there I went there with my own free will. Mm-hmm. And he tries to give her a compliment, saying, as far as Slayer, I think you're doing pretty well.
Which is pretty good for him. That's a good compliment for Giles.
Yeah, especially like how we saw how hard he was on her in the first scene when he was critiquing her slaying. But he ended on a high note for her, like a happy note but we stopped the prophecy, the Anointed One. Andrew was in their mind the Anointed One, and that he was killed. So they stopped the prophecy, and like she's obviously really happy about that. And we end that on like a light note because they did win. And he's saying, oh, the Master is probably having a pretty bad day today. And then we go and check out. We go see what the Master's up to. And he is greeting the Anointed One, who is the little boy in the van. Not Andrew.
So not what I was picturing at all. That was quite the plot twist.
Yeah. And like, what's creepier than like an evil child?
I know, right?
That's creepier than Andrew.
It is way creepier. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was brilliantly done. I love that it's the kid from the van.
And like, did he become the Anointed One after the accident, or was he always the Anointed One?
I would say he became.
Okay. Okay. That makes more sense then. Because like on the bus, he seemed creeped out and like a normal kid, and
My question is, if they knew those were the 5. Did they have to be them? Was it destined to be those 5 people? Could it be any 5 people? Probably not. It probably had to be those people. But when they killed them, it was like they were like, by themselves. There wasn't like people around or they had to make a quick exit. Like, why didn't they just take the bodies with them? Like,
So we could have this whole scene, obviously.
Yeah.
Come on, Ashley.
Why let the bodies be taken to the funeral home in the first place? I'm assuming the little boy was there and they already got him out.
Yeah, I don't.
Because it was in the
know.
paper, so his body had to be taken. It was in the paper. There was 5 people. That it was a child. It was one of them, and that they were taken to the Sunnybrook. So they just like missed that they had stolen the boy's body.
Mm.
And like, where were the other bodies? Because they were like kind of just like collateral damage, but they weren't there at all.
No, they weren't.
They
I don't know.
checked everywhere.
Yeah.
So this is just questions I have every episode. I have questions. But I just thought if it was so crucial to the master, why didn't they just take all the bodies? Even if they didn't know which person would be the anointed one.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they just take the 5 bodies?
Yeah.
To the lair or something. And the other, I've missed a famous quote when Buffy is talking Giles into letting her go on the date when they're standing at her house and Owen shows up. She says, if the apocalypse comes, beat me. And holds a burr beeper. That's like another very famous Buffy quote.
That's really cute.
Yeah, so that's this episode. I just love this episode.
Nice.
So it has a lot of like good Buffy quotes in it. Okay, so my favorite scene was that last one with Buffy and Giles. It just like you said, this episode helps build their relationship even more.
Mm-hmm.
They're relating to each other more, and yeah, just building that bond. And I just thought it was a touching moment between them. Yeah. And then my favorite line was about the button. I'm a Slayer, ask me how. Because it's like a classic. I had to choose that or if the apocalypse comes, beat me. Because those are like famous Buffy quotes.
Those are cute. I think my favorite scene was just when Buffy and Willow, I'm just going to take Xander out of the equation of this one, but when Buffy and Willow were getting ready for Buffy's day, just because it's cute. It's like a cute scene. You know, they're both excited. They're having like a very teenage moment. Their friendship is also developing. So I did really like that. Mm-hmm. My favorite line was actually when they are in the library, when Owen comes in and starts talking about Emily Dickens, and Giles says she's quite a good poet, and then it drifts off and Buffy picks up for a girl and Giles is like an American, and I was like, that's funny. That was really cute. So that was my favorite line, actually.
Yeah, like for a girl, for an American. Like, yeah. That was great. There's so many great lines.
As if Giles was going to say something that sexist. Like, he's a watcher for a girl slayer. Come on, Buffy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, there's so many good lines. I loved also like when she said Dickens and he said Dickens, and she's good also. Like,
that was cute.
this episode is full of great lines.
Yeah, this was a cute episode.
The writing is so good for this episode. Because of all that, I gave it a 4.5.
Ooh, okay.
5, my highest rating so far.
Okay, I gave it a 4.
Okay. Yeah. What reasons for that was I thought it was extremely funny. It was the funniest episode so far. Like, I was like LOLing the whole time. Even when I watched it 4 times. Even in the last viewing, I was laughing. It was very quotable. A lot of the writing, got a lot of good lines, a lot of good quotes.
Yeah.
I loved the twist of the Anointed being the little boy. I thought that was brilliant.
That was good.
And the misdirection of Andrew, because you wouldn't even think about him not being the Anointed one.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems so obvious that he was the Anointed one, and he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really liked Owen's character.
That was a really good character, actually. I liked him too.
Yeah, he does remind me a little bit of another tall character, because Owen was tall. Another tall character that we meet in season 4, but I don't like him. I like Owen way, way more than this other character. Okay. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know.
I don't.
Yeah, early season 4. Another kind of tall, blondie-ish kind of guy. Okay. He reminds me a little bit of that character, but I like Owen more.
Okay. But, I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit. Yeah, I just loved this episode. Did you like Teacher's Pet more than this?
No,
Okay.
No.
You seem to love Teacher's Pet.
No, I just liked it more than you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fair.
Fair. No, this episode was much better done.
All right, so your question. This is kind of a softball one, so hopefully you get it. In the next episode, it's called The Pack. The students go on a field trip. Where to?
San Francisco.
Okay.
I don't, a field trip.
It's local. It's somewhere local.
Museum?
Okay.
The art gallery?
Okay. You're going to go with art gallery?
Museum.
Okay. Umbrella term museum. Okay.
You said this was softball. I don't know. Somewhere local. Like Sunnydale's not a real place.
I know, but somewhere like every regular town has like a museum or a this or a that or a whatever.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just trying to
It's
think,
not it's not a specific actual place. Like
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I don't know, when I went on class trips, it was like, museums, art galleries, or like sports games.
Yeah, we went to the recycling plant. Like,
What?
fun. Ew. We went to the dump.
We went to France?
Yeah, in high school, some people could go, if you took French, you could like pay to go to France. I didn't.
Yeah, that's what we did. But I mean, but we went to the art. We did all those things. Like we went to the art gallery.
It's something like you're on the right. Like it's a broad thing.
Okay.
You know, it's a type of field trip.
Right.
It's not
I'm going with art gallery / museum, I guess.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Locked in. Okay, so that is season 1, episode 5. Never kill a boy on the first date. Loved it. Love this episode so much.
Super cute.
Yeah, it was so great.
Really good character development. And
heart and sad, funny, sad, romance, action, comedy. Like that's the Buffy.
All things.
Recipe.
But it was also realistic. Mm-hmm. I mean, with her not being able to continue with this relationship was very realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, it had it all. That's like the Buffy recipe. It has a little bit of everything. And this episode like really had it all for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. All right. So you can find us on most major podcast apps now. We are on pretty much everywhere. If there's somewhere that you can't find us and you would like to, please send us a message or an email, and you can do that. We are on Instagram and YouTube at One Girl in All the World Pod, and our email is onegirlpod@gmail.com. And I don't know if I mentioned, you can also find us on YouTube if you'd rather watch / listen instead of just listen, because we record when we are recording, and so you can put a face to the name over there. Yeah, I guess that's it. So we will be back next week with The Pack. Yee!
All right.
See you then.
Bye.